Good morning, everyone. Because of the presence of social media platforms, marami sa ating mga kabataan ang iba't ibang uri ng pang-aabuso, whether it is physical, emotional, and psychological, no, dahil sa presence ng social media platforms. And mahalaga ring malaman ng ating mga kaguruan at ang mga kawani ng gobyerno kung ano ba yung polisiya ng Department of Education when it comes to child protection. Okay? Article 15, Section 3, Paragraph 2 of our Constitution. Pursuant to the 1987 Constitution, the state shall defend the right of children to assistance, including proper care and nutrition, and special protection from all forms of neglect, abuse, cruelty, exploitation, and other conditions prejudicial to their development. In this particular policy of DepEd, we will only discuss the salient features or those important provision of the policy. Furthermore, the Convention on the Rights of the Child, or the CRC, aims to protect children from all forms of physical or mental violence, injury and abuse, neglect or negligent treatment, maltreatment and exploitation, including sexual abuse. And on the same convention establishes the right of the child to education, and with a view to achieving this right progressively and on the basis of equal opportunity. It obliges the government to take measures to encourage regular attendance in school and reduce dropout rates. Thus, it is mandated that all appropriate measures be undertaken to ensure that school discipline is administered in a manner consistent with the child's human dignity and conformity with the CRC. That is why there is a mechanism made by the Department of Education whenever the students nag-absent doon sa school or yung grade nila ay masyadong mababa. So we have here mechanism na patingnan or i-validate kung ano talaga ang nangyari, kung ano talaga ang dahilan kung bakit bumaba at nag-iiba yung ugali ng ating mga kabataan. So ang ginagawa ng mga kaguruan natin, we have a home visitation, no? We have tools coming from our guidance office wherein doon natin isusulat yung mga assessment and mga factors na nakakaapekto sa performance ng ating mga kabataan doon sa kanilang bahay. And DepEd has adopted a policy to provide special protection to children who are gravely threatened or endangered by circumstances which affect their normal development and over which they have no control, and to assist the concerned agencies in their rehabilitation. Even though our department has no rehabilitation center, but then again, we have national agencies that would cater those children which is affected by this maltreatment. So meron tayong mga rehabilitation center para sa mga kabataan na biktima ng pang-aabuso, like the DSWD. Okay? Now, we have here definition of a child. Who is a child? According to the definition of this policy, child is 18 years old below or those over but unable to fully take care of themselves from abuse, neglect, cruelty, exploitation, or discrimination because of their physical and mental disability or conditions. Though here, even if the child is 18 years old and above, but he or she is not able to fully take care of themselves, they are still considered as a child by definition of this policy. For example, they are physically and mentally disabled or meron silang kondisyon or special conditions or special needs, they are considered as a child. And for purposes of this department order, the term also includes pupils or students who may be 18 years of age or over but are in school. For instance, 23 years old, no, grade 2, he is considered as a child by definition of the law or this policy. Because again, the policy is very clear that even if they are over 18 years old or years of age, but still they are in school, they are considered as a child. Now, for purposes of definition, child abuse refers to the maltreatment of a child, whether habitual or not, which includes any of the following. So we have here first psychological or physical abuse, neglect, cruelty, sexual abuse, and emotional maltreatment. Second, any act or by deeds or words which debases, degrades, or demeans the intrinsic worth and dignity of a child as a human being. Third, unreasonable deprivation of the child's basic needs for survival, such as food and shelter. Or fourth, failure to immediately give medical treatment to an injured child resulting in serious impairment of his or her growth and development, or in the child's permanent incapacity or death. So if there is a punishment given to a child which deprive them of basic needs, no, such as food and shelter, hindi mo sila papakainin, no, for a period of how many days or hours. So technically, that is a form of child abuse. Or even there is no physical maltreatment, but if there is an emotional maltreatment that would affect the child's mental capacity, then it is a form of child abuse. Discrimination against children refers to an act of exclusion, distinction, restriction, or preference which is based on any ground such as age, ethnicity, sex, sexual orientation, and gender identity, language, religion, political or other opinion, national or social origin, property, birth, being infected or affected by human immunodeficiency virus or HIV and acquired immune deficiency syndrome or AIDS, being pregnant, being a child in conflict with the law, being a child with disability or other status or condition, and which has the purpose or effect of nullifying or impairing the recognition, enjoyment of exercise by all persons on an equal footing of all rights and freedoms. Now, the question is, if you're going to, sa school, if you're going to segregate those which has a human immunodeficiency virus like HIV and those who has no HIV. So technically, this is a form of a discrimination against children. That is why in DepEd, hindi na ini-encourage yung homogeneous section, no? Homogeneous classes. And meron na tayong mga sections na heterogeneous, except for those special programs like science and technology, engineering, and mathematics, or yung STEM, yung mga STE natin sa junior high school. So except those programs like a special program for the arts or a special program for sports. So except those programs. Kasi yung nakalagay dito, for purposes or effect of nullifying or impairing the recognition, for purposes of nullifying or impairing the recognition enjoyment, or exercise by all persons on an equal footing of all rights and freedoms. Other than this purpose, of course, there would be no discrimination against children. So ano ba yung intent mo when segregating our children in school? Like for other instance, you are going to segregate non-readers and those readers, no? Ano ba yung purpose mo? And the purpose is for academic, then there's no discrimination against children. And sa DepEd naman, we will not make any title to the students like non-readers or mga readers. We categorize them into another term para hindi nila malaman that they are this one non-readers. We are using the cycle of a butterfly, like they are in the stage of pupa or larvae. Mga ganun na mga terms. Next is child exploitation. It refers to the use of children for someone else's advantage, gratification, or profit, often resulting in an unjust, cruel, and harmful treatment of the child. These activities disrupt the child's normal physical or mental health, education, moral, and social emotional development. It covers situations of manipulation, misuse, abuse, victimization, oppression, or ailment. So that is the definition of child exploitation. So later on, we will discuss the provisions in depth. There are two main forms of child exploitation that are recognized. The first one is sexual exploitation, and the second one is the economic exploitation. When we talk about sexual exploitation, it includes, but it is not limited to forcing a child to participate in prostitution or the production of pornographic materials as a result of being subjected to threat, deception, coercion, abduction, force, abuse of authority, death, bondage, fraud, or through abuse of a victim's vulnerability. And when we talk about economic exploitation, it refers to the use of the child in work, no, and other activities for the benefit of others. And it also involves a certain gain or profit through the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. This includes but is not limited to illegal child labor as defined by RA 9231. Now, ang question is, yung mga artista ba na mga minors are part of this definition, economic exploitation? Now, the answer is no, because there is a consent, no, coming from their parents and as well as to the Department of Labor and Employment. They are regulated. There are certain time or period na mag-work ang mga artista na mga minor. So if they violate that certain period, then doon papasok ang economic exploitation. Violence against children committed in schools. This is a single act or a series of acts committed by school administrators, academic, and non-academic personnel against a child. So we have to take note that it is committed by administrators, academic, and non-academic personnel, and which result to the physical, sexual, and psychological harm or suffering, or other abuses including threats of such acts, battery, assaults, coercion, harassment, or arbitrary deprivation of liberty. And it includes but is not limited to the following acts. We have physical violence and sexual violence. So sa physical violence naman, if you are going to let the child no, perform a task. Like, pinaakyat mo siya sa puno, no? Mataas na puno. And it's very hazardous for the child. It is not appropriate for the child to climb for that particular tree, no? Dahil masyadong dangerous. And you let the child to climb the tree and to get some like fruits, no? Doon sa tree na yun na nasa loob ng ating paaralan. Then it is a form of physical violence because you expose the child into a hazardous or perform the task which is hazardous to our children. And sexual violence, we have different acts of sexual violence, such as rape, sexual harassment, acts of lasciviousness, making demeaning and sexually suggestive remarks, physical attacking or attacking the sexual parts of the victim's body. And number two, forcing the child to watch obscene publication and indecent shows or forcing the child to do indecent sexual acts and or to engage or to be involved in the creation or distribution of such films, indecent publication, or material such as ang sinasabi dito yung mga pornographic materials or na-expose yung mga kabataan natin to make these films, no, indecent films, which is not appropriate for their age, which includes sexual acts. They are it is a form of sexual violence. Third, acts causing or attempting to cause the child to engage in any sexual activity by force, threat of force, physical or other harm, or threat of physical or other harm, or coercion, or through inducements, gifts, or favors. So, sasabihin natin na nag-say yes naman yung child. But, again, they have no capacity to decide for themselves. Technically, it is a form of sexual violence, no, kahit na-consent or nag-say yes ang ating mga kabataan or even their parents. And we have also psychological violence, which are likely to cause mental or emotional suffering of the child, such as but not limited to intimidation, harassment, stalking, damage to property, public ridicule or humiliation, deduction or threat of deduction from grade. Now you have to take note of this, or merit as a form of punishment, and repeated verbal abuse. If the child now committed violations of the school policies and you threat them to decrease their grades or demerit them with their performance, no, as a form of punishment, and technically affect the child's mental capacity. So it is a form of a psychological violence. We have also other acts of violence of a physical, sexual, or other psychological nature that are prejudicial to the best interest of the child. So now, whenever I have lectures other than online, meron talaga tayong uh, mga icebreaker, no? So, manuroy sa ta. Ibig sabihin, we have to roam around muna. Okay? Okay, saang lugar ito makikita? Itong museo. Okay, we have here. Okay. It's from Malita City. How about this one? Hotel Malita. It's part of Europe. So it's in Italy. How about this one? Parang nakikita ko ito sa Davao Occidental. Okay, it's one of the municipalities of Davao Occidental in Santa Maria. So now, this area is already renovated by the owner. Napakaganda na nito ngayon. Meron na silang mga different amusement, mga amenities. And we have here, sa Davao Occidental pa rin, Don Marcelino. In this one, the mini Europe, no, na makikita lang sa Pilipinas. So we have in Tagaytay City. Of course, this is very famous. The summer capital of the Philippines, which is Baguio City. About this one, the famous Cordova Bridge, found in Cebu City. And this one, the first ever mall in Davao City, which stands still until today. Davao City. My favorite place, my dream place na gusto kong puntahan, it's Batanes. And this one, the historical landmark in Manila. So it's Intramuros. How about this one? Okay, I think you're thinking about abroad, but it's from Palawan. Okay. So how about bullying or peer abuse? This refers to the willful aggressive behavior that is directed towards a particular victim who may be outnumbered, younger, weak, with disability, less confident, or otherwise vulnerable. More particularly, no, bullying is committed when a student commits an act or a series of acts directed towards another student, or a series of single acts directed towards several students in a school setting or a place of learning, which results in physical and mental abuse, harassment, intimidation, or humiliation. Such acts may consist of any one or more of the following. First, threats to inflict a wrong upon the person, honor or property of the person, or on his or her family. This is very rampant in public schools. No, the students threatens another students. Second, stalking or constantly following or pursuing a person in his or her daily activities with unwanted and obsessive attention. Now, stalking is not only physical. It could also be in Facebook and social media platforms. Meron na tayong stalking doon. But if you're just going to browse the news feed of your Facebook without commenting any of those pictures na nag-stalk ka, then it could not be form of bullying. Taking of properties is very common in school. Actually, during our time, no, merong mga taking of property. Like mga notebook ng aming mga kaklase, kinukuha ng mga bullied na mga bully na mga estudyante. And we have also public humiliation or public and malicious imputation of a crime or of a vice or defect, whether real or imaginary, or any act, mission, condition, status, or circumstance tending to cause dishonor, discredit, or expose a person to contempt. We have also deliberate destruction or defacement of or damage to the child's property. Like sinira mo yung bag ng kaklase mo, so that's a form of bullying. Physical violence committed upon a student which may or may not result to harm or injury, with or without the aid of a weapon. Such violence may be in the form of mauling, hitting, punching, kicking, throwing things at the student, pinching, spanking, other similar acts. Then, we have here demanding or requiring sexual or monetary favors or exacting money or property from a pupil or student, as we have seen in the television. In most cases, yung pagkuha ng mga property ng ating mga kabataan by another children or pupil or student. So that is a form of bullying. Restraining the liberty and freedom of a pupil or student, that is also a bullying. How about cyberbullying? So again, if there is a physical bullying incident, we have also cyberbullying incident, because this is very rampant now, or very common, taking into account the presence of social media platforms. Marami na tayo sa Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. It could be a source of bullying incident. How about corporal punishment? This is very common nung mga kabataan natin, now that some of our teachers or some of our parents are engaged in the corporal punishment. But this is just only a sort of discipline. But as of today, meron na tayong polisiya on what constitutes corporal punishment. According to the law, it refers to a kind of punishment or penalty imposed for an alleged or actual offense, which is carried out or inflicted for the purpose of discipline, training, or control by a teacher, school administrator, an adult, or any other child who has been given or has assumed authority or responsibility for punishment or discipline. It includes physical, humiliating, or degrading punishment, including but not limited to the following. Of course, this is also to protect our children whenever they go to school or whenever we are going to send them for training, para maprotektahan yung mga rights nila, and the discipline should be regulated, hindi naman yung sobra-sobra. And one of the circumstances that would warrant or that would define corporal punishment, first is blows such as but not limited to beating, kicking, hitting, slapping, or lashing of any part of a child's body with or without the use of an instrument, such as but not limited to cane, broomstick, whip, or belt. Second, striking of a child's face or head, such being declared as a no-contact zone. In DepEd, we have no contact zone, no, sa face or sa head ng ating mga kabataan, whether good or bad yung intention mo. So wala tayo, no contact zone talaga tayo sa mga head ng ating mga kabataan, ng ating mga children. Then pulling hair, shaking, twisting joints, cutting or piercing skin, dragging, pushing, or throwing of a child. Fourth, forcing a child to perform physical, painful, or damaging acts, no? Such as holding a weight or weights for an extended period and kneeling on stones, salt, pebbles, or other subjects for purposes of discipline. Deprivation of a child's physical needs as a form of punishment. For example, iihi na yun si learner tapos hindi mo pinaihi because you are punishing him or her. No, that is deprivation of physical needs of a child. Then deliberate exposure to fire, ice, water, smoke, sunlight, rain, pepper, alcohol, or forcing the child to swallow substance like yung mga ginagawa noon na They are going to swallow chalks, no, that is a contain harmful chemicals, no? And other materials that can cause discomfort or threaten the child's health. Yung mga papel, pinapakain. Safety and the sense of security, such as but limited to bleach or insecticides, increment, or urine. Of course, this is also a corporal punishment when you're going to tie up a child. That is not allowed. Even in any material, no, scotch tape or rope or whatsoever, that is not allowed. Then confine, imprisonment, or depriving the liberty of a child. Now we have one instance way back year 2000 na merong grade 1 pupil na nakalimutan ng teacher na buksan doon sa cabinet, no? And that was Friday that time. And Monday na nakuha ng teacher. And it's too late, no? Dahil patay na yung bata inside the cabinet. 9. Verbal abuse or assaults, including intimidation or threat of bodily harm, swearing or cursing, ridiculing or denigrating the child, forcing a child to wear a sign, to undress or disrobe, or to put anything that will make a child look or feel foolish, which belittles or humiliates a child in front of the others. 11. Permanent confiscation of personal property of pupils, students, or learners, except which such pieces of property pose a danger to a child or others. One of the examples of this is the cell phone, that is a personal property of pupils. Permanent, we talk about permanent, hindi mo na isasauli yung cellphone. But if you're going to return it immediately after the classes, then there is no permanent confiscation. So you have to take note the word permanent. And of course, the teachers are allowed to confiscate materials or personal property of students if such pieces of property pose a danger to the child or to other learners inside the classroom. For example, yung mga knife, mga sharp objects in possession of the in possession by the child, no, that is not allowed inside the classroom, and other analogous acts. Now we have duties and responsibilities of the school when it comes to the implementation of the child protection policy. For the school, I highlighted the important responsibilities of the school. Of course, we have to organize the child protection committee for the school. Kung merong mga issues or problems that need to be resolved when it comes to child protection, so itong committee ang mag-convene to resolve the case. Letter E, conduct the capacity building activities for the members of the Child Protection Committee and the guidance counselors or teachers. Since we don't have any, some of our committee don't know how to handle cases like child protection, they should be capacitated, and the school should hire or should request experts to do the capacity building activities. Third, maintain a record of all proceedings related to bullying or peer abuse and submit after each school year to the division office the report in a copy of the intake form. So we have here annexes A and B respectively, yung mga proceedings, yung mga minutes of the meeting, and all the compromise agreement na ginagawa or gagawin natin sa school. And coordinate with the Department of Social Welfare and Development or the appropriate government agencies or non-governmental organizations on the Child Protection Hotline for reporting abuse, violence, exploitation, discrimination, bullying, and other similar acts, and for counseling. And we have also the duties and responsibilities of school personnel. Under Article 218 of the Family Code of the Philippines provides the following responsibilities of school administrators, teachers, academic and non-academic, and other personnel. So first, exercise special parental authority, since we have here the doctrine of in loco parentis, in which the teacher is the second parent of the child. So technically, we have to exercise special parental authority over the children being sent by their parents to school. Next, represent them in all matters affecting their interest. Next, inculcate the value of respect and obedience. H, practice positive and nonviolent discipline as may be required under the circumstances, provided that in no case shall corporal punishment be inflicted upon them. I, perform such other duties as are imposed by law upon them as substitute parents or guardians. And J, school personnel shall also strictly comply with the school's child protection policy. We have also Section 9, duties and responsibilities of pupils, students, and learners. It is not enough na meron tayong roles and responsibilities na gagampanan itong mga school personnel natin. It should have a duties and responsibilities of pupils, students, and learners. Okay, so pupils, students, and learners shall have the following duties and responsibilities. First, engaging in discrimination or leading a group of pupils or students to discriminate another with reference to one's physical appearance, weaknesses, and status of any sort. Second, doing any act that is inappropriate or sexually provocative. So this is the duties and responsibilities na hindi nila kailangang i-possess when they are inside the school or outside the premises of the school. Participating in behavior of other students that is illegal, unsafe, or abusive. Fourth, marking or damaging school property, including books in any way. Fifth, engaging in fights or any aggressive behavior. Sixth, introducing into the school premises or otherwise possessing prohibited articles such as deadly weapons, drugs, alcohol, toxic and noxious substances, cigarettes, and pornographic material. Now, the question is, kasali ba dito yung vape? Of course, kasali yung vape because it is a form of cigarettes, no? It's an alternative for cigarettes, so that is not allowed inside the school premises. Seventh, performing other similar acts that cause damage or injury to another. And we have also here Section 10, the establishment of Child Protection Committee. Ano ba ang composition ng ating Child Protection Committee? So of course, we have our school head as the chairperson, the guidance counselor as our vice chairperson. We have also a representative of the teachers, no, or president of the faculty club, or the parents representative or the president of the PTA, representative of pupils or the Supreme Elementary Learner Government and the Supreme Secondary Learner Government. We have also representative from the community as the designated by the punong barangay, preferably a member of the barangay council for the protection of children. Sa mga barangay natin, we have designated barangay kagawad on that particular committee. Now, with regard to the protection of children and the protection of our women, no, meron tayong desk dyan sa barangay level. Now, we have here the roles and responsibility to be performed by the Child Protection Committee. So first and foremost, they have to draft a school protection policy with a code of conduct and a plan to ensure child protection and safety. So it shall be reviewed every 3 years yung plan na yon. And yung plan is covered for a period of 3 years, and after 3 years, it will be reviewed by the committee itself. Second, initiate information, dissemination programs, and of course, organize activities when it comes to child protection. Then, third, develop and implement school-based referral and monitoring system. Though we don't have any exact referral system when it comes to child protection, this committee shall have a contextualized referral system. So it depends kung saan yung mas prefer ng ating committee. Fourth, establish a system of identifying students who may be suffering from significant harm based on any physical, emotional, or behavioral signs, since we are the second parent of the children sent by their parents inside the school. So tayo yung unang-una na makakakita ng kanilang mga emotional and behavioral signs. No? Kung meron ba talagang problema ang batang ito o ang learner na ito. Fifth, identify, refer, and if appropriate, report to the appropriate offices cases involving child abuse, exploitation, violence, discrimination, and bullying. Though sometimes we could say that we don't have any capacity to handle this kind of situation. So better we are going to refer it to the expert, or we bring the case to the proper authority. Sixth, give assistance to parents or guardians whenever necessary in securing expert guidance counseling from the appropriate offices or institutions. We have to take note that some of our parents are not familiar with the government agencies kung saan sila pupunta kung may problemang ganito at mga ganitong circumstances. Seventh, coordinate closely with the Women and Child Protection Desk of the Philippine National Police. Meron din tayong ELSWTO, meron din tayong mga non-governmental organizations. Eighth, monitor the implementation of positive measures and effective procedures in providing the necessary support for the child and for those who care for the child. It is not enough that we are going to hear both cases, but we should have to monitor the said case or the implementation of the compromise agreement na ginawa ng committee. 9. Ensure that the children's right to be heard are respected and upheld in all manners and procedures affecting their welfare. We have also here protective and remedial measures to address child abuse, exploitation, violence, discrimination, bullying, and other acts of abuse. So for bullying cases, upon filing of the complaint or upon notice by the school personnel or official of any bullying or peer abuse incident, the same shall be immediately reported to the school head. So unang-una, you have to report the incident to the school head. And who shall inform the parents and guardians after the bullying incident. After the school head informed by the bullying incident, the school head will inform the parents or guardians of the victim and the offending child in a meeting called for the purpose. So yung school head, he or she will call the attention of the parents to go to school because of the complaint filed by the victims or the parents. So we are going to call both parties, the offending party and the offender. Okay? The victim and the offending child shall be referred to the Child Protection Committee for counseling and other interventions. The penalty of reprimand, if warranted, may be imposed by the school head in the presence of the parents or guardians. If bullying is committed for a second or subsequent time, you have to take note of for the second time around. After offending child has received counseling or other interventions, the penalty of suspension for not more than 1 week, nakasaad talaga ito sa ating policy, may be imposed by the school head if such is warranted. During the period of suspension, the offending child and the parents or guardians may be required to attend further seminars and counseling. And the school head shall likewise ensure that the appropriate interventions, counseling, and other services are provided for the victim or victims of bullying. Now, we have also bullying that results in serious physical injuries or death. If the bullying or peer abuse resulted in serious physical injuries or death, whenever appropriate, the case shall be dealt with in accordance with the provisions of Republic Act 9344 and its implementing rules and regulation. And for the procedure, in all cases where the imposable penalty on the offending child is suspension, exclusion, or expulsion, the following minimum requirements of due process shall be complied with. So, kailangan i-comply ang lahat ng minimum requirements. First, the child and the parents or guardians must be informed of the complaint in writing. Okay. And second, the child shall be given the opportunity to answer the complaint in writing with the assistance of the parents. So, hindi basta-basta na when there is a complaint, agad-agad na magkakaroon ng desisyon ang ating committee. So it should be that the child should be given an opportunity to answer all the allegations stipulated in the complaint. Baka hindi totoo or baka gawa-gawa lang ng learner or ng alleged victim of bullying. Third, the decision of the school head must be in writing, stating the facts and the reason for the decision. Hindi pwedeng verbal lang, okay, ito na si victim and si offending child. So, kailangan nyo na magbayad, ganun na mga stipulations. So, kung merong mga stipulations na ganyan, it should be turned into writing para merong copy or there is a black and white when it comes to decision. Then the decision of the school may be appealed as provided by the existing rules of the department. If you are not satisfied with the decision of the school head, you can appeal it to the higher authority. We have field rules and procedures in handling child abuse, exploitation, violence, and discrimination cases. So for the prohibited acts in Section 15, as defined by Section 3 of this order, are hereby prohibited and shall be penalized in administrative proceedings as grave or simple misconduct, depending on the gravity of the fact of the act and its consequences under existing laws, rules, and regulation. So you have child abuse, discrimination against children, child exploitation, violence against children in school, corporal punishment, and any analogous or similar acts. And how about investigation and reporting? The conduct of investigation and reporting of cases of child abuse, exploitation, violence, or discrimination shall be done expeditiously as herein provided. Hindi pwedeng aabot pa ng how many years. So it should be expedited. I mean, they should expedite the case filed in the committee. In the public school, the school head or the school division superintendent, upon receipt of the complaint, shall forward the same within 48 hours to the disciplining authority, who shall then issue an order for the conduct of a fact-finding investigation not later than 72 hours from submission. And this period shall be strictly observed except when justified by circumstances beyond their control, and provided that if the person complained of is a non-teaching personnel, the school division superintendent shall cause the conduct of a fact-finding investigation within the same period. But if a complaint is not sufficient, inform the concerned school head, school division superintendent, or disciplining authority shall immediately inform the complainant of the requirements of a formal complaint. So hindi naman outright dismissal of the complaint, but they should be informed first. Upon filing of the formal complaint, the same shall be acted upon pursuant to the preceding paragraphs. For the conduct of a fact-finding investigation, shall be in accordance with the RRE, or the Revised Rules of Procedure of the Department of Education in administrative cases. And if there's pending investigation upon referral of the school principal or a guidance counselor, the LSWDO of the concerned local government unit shall assess the child and provide psychological intervention to help the child victim recover from whatever trauma he or she has experienced as a result of the abuse. And of course, they shall also undergo psychosocial intervention if such is warranted. If a prima facie case exists based on the investigation report and the records, saka na papasok ang formal charge from the disciplining authority. So which may be the basis for the issuance of an order of preventive suspension, or as an alternative, reassignment of the offending party as may be warranted. Now, the respondent may be placed under preventive suspension pending investigation for a period of 90 days. If the injury or abuse committed against the child is so grave as to render the child unable to attend his or her classes, the respondent may also be preventively suspended to preclude the possibility of influencing or intimidating witnesses. The respondent may file a motion for reconsideration with the disciplining authority, or may elevate the same to the Civil Service Commission by way of an appeal within 15 days from receipt thereof. And the revised rules of procedure of the Department of Education in administrative cases shall apply in all other aspects. A complaint for education-related sexual harassment, as defined under resolution of the Civil Service Commission, must be in writing, signed and sworn to by the complainant, and of course it shall contain the full name and addresses, the full name and position of the respondent, a brief statement, evidence, and certification of a non-forum shopping. The complaint shall be referred to the Committee on Decorum and Investigation. Upon receipt of the complaint, the committee shall require the person complained of to submit his or her counter affidavit, which shall be under oath not later than 3 days from the receipt of the notice, furnishing the complainant a copy thereof, otherwise the counter affidavit or comment shall be considered as not filed. So ang procedure ng ating pag-conduct ng investigation should be in accordance with the rules and the resolution of the Civil Service Commission. The regional director shall periodically monitor and keep a record of all report child abuse cases and submit a final consolidated regional report of the office to the Office of the Undersecretary for Legal Affairs and the Undersecretary for Regional Operations. And failure to submit an incident report or to render decision involving the case within the prescribed period without justifiable cause shall be a ground for administrative action for neglect of duty against the responsible official. Okay, you have to take note that if you cannot submit an incident report or to render a decision, you will be held administratively. The Office of the Undersecretary for Legal and Legislative Affairs shall compile the regional reports and submit an annual report to the Secretary. How about the jurisdiction ng Child Protection Policy? Complaints of child abuse, violence, discrimination, exploitation, bullying, and other acts of abuse under this department order shall be within the exclusive jurisdiction of the department and shall not be brought for amicable settlement before the barangay, subject to the existing laws, rules, and regulations. Complaints for acts committed by persons not under the jurisdiction of the disciplinary authority of the department shall be referred to the appropriate authorities. How about confidentiality? Since there are a lot of facts that the committee need to know, there must be a confidentiality of the information. It should not be divulged to the public or even in the colleagues not a party to the case. In child abuse, violence, discrimination, exploitation, bullying, or peer abuse and other acts of abuse by a pupil, student, or learners, the identity or other information that may be reasonably identified, the pupil, student, or learner, whether victim or offender, shall be withheld from the public to protect his or her privacy. And on the other hand, we have here existing law, Magna Carta for public school teachers, protect the rights of teachers, and no publicity shall be given to any disciplinary action against a teacher during the pendency of his or her case. How about criminal and civil liability arising from child abuse, discrimination, exploitation, and other acts of abuse are separate and distinct and shall not be a bar to the filing of an administrative case under these guidelines. How about private schools? Because we are just talking about public schools. So yung mga private schools are also covered in this act, this policy. Now, if there is a complaint against school personnel or official, a complaint for child abuse, violence, exploitation, or discrimination in the private school, it should be filed with the school head, chief executive officer, and shall be acted upon pursuant to the school's rules of procedures on administrative cases. And of course, the penalty shall be that which is provided by the rules of the school, subject to the requirements of due process. The administrative case shall be without prejudice to any civil or criminal case that may be filed. So if there is a administrative case filed by the complainant, they can file also civil or criminal case with regard to the case pending. Section 21, the private school shall submit the report to the division office after each school year. How about referral and assessment of victims and offenders and other children? In all cases involving this kind of abuses, the committee shall accomplish the intake sheet, and the school head shall refer or may refer the victims and offenders in cases involving child abuse, exploitation, discrimination, bullying, or peer abuse, and other acts of abuse to the LSWDO for assessment. So the LSWDO shall determine the appropriate intervention. And the school head now, with the aid of the guidance counselor, and in accordance with the LSWDO, shall immediately remove the victim or, in inappropriate cases, the offender from the place of the incident. If the victim is determined to be at risk, the child's family shall be informed of any action taken. The school head may also refer to the LSWDO other pupils, students, or learners or victim of abuse at home. Children at risk, children especially in especially difficult circumstances, children with special needs are at risk, children facing difficult situations, or those who are exhibiting signs of aggressive behavior, with a view of obtaining professional assessment, appropriate intervention, and assistance from competent service providers. So these are the referral and assessment of victims and offenders and other children. If you have time, you can search the child protection policy of DepEd and have a soft copy so that you will be guided. Now, this lecture is not enough for you to understand fully all the provisions of the child protection policy. So you have to read continuously, and even if you finish reading, you're going to review it so that you will know and understand the moment you will file a case or someone will ask assistance from you. Okay? So thank you so much.